The road to Black history runs through Lincolnville. That's among the first things you'll see on the webpage for the Lincolnville Museum and Cultural Center.
Yeah, the African American History Museum is in St. Augustine and boasts a mission of preserving and promoting more than 450 years of the Black experience in America's oldest city.
That's a part of the historic character of this building. It was the Excelsior High School, which was the first high school for Blacks in St. Johns County, built back in the 1920s.
Gail Phillips is the executive director of this place, the Lincolnville Museum and Cultural Center. It radiates life and the stories you may or may not have heard about this corner of St. Augustine.
And for people who don't know what Lincolnville is, it was an area that was started after the Civil War, where you had U.S. colored troops returning to St. Augustine.
The museum starts with school history and has a room dedicated to the military.
And that's really one of my favorite photos here.
This one?
In the military section, because it shows these guys sitting down just having a beer together. And that was something that they couldn't have done that
not allowed,
earlier,
right?
You know.
Yeah.
And it would have still been very difficult to do at home.
There are artifacts and things from actual homes in Lincolnville during its heyday.
So what we tried to do here behind you, once you look at that, is to recreate from a photograph what a typical living room might have been like in the early 1920s in Lincolnville.
Phillips joyfully shared some of her favorites, and it's easy to get caught up in some of the joys. There's pride in this painting and who it represents.
His name was Dr. Daniel Roberts, and you know, as we were going through this pandemic of 2020 and 21, he was here during the pandemic of 1918, and he had the reputation of not losing any patients.
The final stops on our journey through the museum included the piece of these church windows.
These are 7 really historic churches in, not just in Lincolnville, but in St. Augustine.
And the rhythm of entertainment, the enjoyment of seeing the local connection to icons like Ray Charles.
What St. Augustine did for Ray Charles was he learned how to read Braille here. He learned how to read music here.
There are, however, images that mix the pain with the pride of persistence. Dr. Martin Luther King arrested in 1964. The Monson Motor Lodge with an attack on Black protesters in the pool. Success is part of the story, but it didn't come without struggle.
So if you talk to a lot of people who were here during the 60s, they will tell you that St. Augustine was pivotal in the signing of the Civil Rights Bill. I like to tell people civil rights movement didn't start in the 1960s. It didn't end in the 1960s.
That's right.
I mean, it still goes on to this day, you know.
And still going on. In this school, built for Black students in the 1920s, is an education for everyone. Lincolnville was born in 1866 by the free men and women that Gail Phillips spoke about. The museum's next event is an hour-long virtual discussion called Civil War to Civil Rights. This Wednesday's topic is Reconstruction.